When did you say, hey, I think I could make money doing this?
Chat world
It's
here.
so fun. That's what I like this room because it's just relaxed and you put these on and you just go somewhere else.
Yeah, just
And-
make it happen.
And my favorite thing and why we're doing this podcast is because I used to always ask business owners, how did you do that? What did you do? How did you become a dentist? And so today on Business Under Fire, we're lucky enough to have Doctor Weinman here, and she's with Seguin Smiles, which is a beautiful dental practice in Seguin, Texas, right off of 123. So welcome, Dr. Weinman.
Well, thanks for having me, Tommy. It's great to be here.
I'm excited because how I found out about you is quite interesting. And for those that don't know, I just met Dr. Weinman today. I was looking for a new dental practice closer to my house because I get my teeth cleaned 3 times a year or 4 times a year.
Like a great patient would do.
And my dad goes around and talks about dental products, Oracare, and he walked into y'all's office maybe 5 months ago or so, and he visits dentist office several times a week. And he goes, Tommy, there's something different about Seguin Smiles.
He's a good man. We appreciate all that he's done to help build our practice
And
and
so,
Oracare products.
I thought, man, and Heather Malloy works there, and I've known her for 10, 12 years, and she's a great girl. And I've wanted to talk to a dentist about how they run their dental practice, how they decided to work for themselves. And so, Dr. Weinman, you're in the hot seat tonight.
Great. Loving it already.
And both of us, this is what I love about entrepreneurs. You just put in 9 hours or so at work.
Yeah, I got up at 5 this morning and been going since then.
And here we are. I've been going all day,
I know you have, Tommy. You are
landscaping,
the man.
running around. And here we are doing what it takes to keep our businesses oiled and going.
Absolutely.
So take me, one of the things I like to find out is why you decided to be a doctor or a dentist, which is the same, you're a doctor. How did you decide that you wanted to drill and fill in people's mouths all day long?
Well, I guess it goes back mostly to my parents, particularly my father. He kind of instilled in us from little on up, you were put on this earth to take care of other people. It's not totally about yourself. So I got drilled in my head pretty early. There's no little play on words there, but got put in my head that you need to take care of people. And my dad also loved biology a lot. He was actually a minister, but he loved human beings and he loved creatures and plants and everything. So he instilled a lot of love for biology, little on up. We had a garden, we're taking care of it, we're ministering to his people, we're taking care of people. So he and I also loved to do a lot of arts and crafts. I just loved working with my hands. So I started going through life and I was like going, you know what can I do? What can I do to make an impact on people's lives and take care of them and use my love of biology that I acquired and my hand skills. So I went through high school and then I got an opportunity, like literally the day after I graduated. My sister asked me to come be her dental assistant because my sister is actually a dentist as well. And so I said, sure, let's do it. So I got that opportunity in 1981 to assist my sister. And that summer I fell in love with
And that was
dentistry.
right out of high school.
Boom, right out of high school.
Started being a dental assistant.
Yes, it was my sister's first dental assistant. She'd never had one before. She'd been working by herself for an entire year, and I go, sure, I'll come help you. She was getting a little too busy to do it by herself, and so she really showed me the ropes and really got me in love with dentistry and just all the intricacies that you get to do with it, and just made me see how great it was to be with people every day, taking care of them, and doing something with my hands all day long, and just enjoying that time of creating things, making people smile, changing their lives, getting them out of pain.
Yeah.
It was just life-changing for me. I'm like, okay, this is it.
Every day making a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't think about that on the dental stuff, and I've been around dentists. My dad and his brother are dentists, so that's interesting that you have that too. And my dad made a point one time. He goes, because I really like mowing grass, because as soon as you mow, you see the difference.
Right.
And as soon as you go to work on some pain or some cosmetic, you have instant results.
Instant gratification for the patient and honestly for myself, because I could see it happening before my eyes. Yeah. So it's really fun. So
that's neat. And so how long were you a dental assistant?
Well, just that particular summer time, and then I went into Texas Lutheran is where I did my undergraduate studies at, and I was fortunate enough to get through that program in 3 years, because at that time they had a scholars program, and so I knew that I wanted to be a dentist after that summer. I did go a couple other summers and assist either my sister or another dentist, and that way I started learning a lot of by going to another dental office. Then I started getting to know more about other dental offices and seeing, okay, what I like, what I don't like, that type thing.
How did the dental assisting prep you for dental school?
That was amazing, because I don't think there was a whole lot of us that had actually worked in a dental office before. Now they make the students shadow a whole lot more, but back in the day, you just pretty much, a lot of them really honestly hadn't even stepped into a dental office. They just decided they wanted to be a dentist. They looked up and they saw, okay, I liked my dentist, or something drove them to be a dentist, but they really hadn't had much experience. But
is that something that you would suggest to somebody that's in high school, is to actually, and they want to go be a dentist? Would you suggest that they start assisting somewhere, and even just, suction, handing tools? Is there a position for somebody like that in a dental office?
There is, to some degree. Now we have a whole lot more criteria that we have to meet with OSHA and HIPAA and these type of things. So it's not as easy to get a job, but the curriculum to get into dental assisting school is it's not very big. They only have to have like about 80 hours for it before they actually can become certified to become or registered to be a dental assistant. So it's really just a matter of finding a dental office. But as far as a high school student, what I'd recommend that they do is talk to their local dentist and say, hey, can I just come see you work from the other side?
Yeah.
Okay, because most people don't realize what's happening on the other side when they're in. And once they get in there, they can go like, yeah, this is really super cool. Or they can go like, no, thank you. I don't want to do this. Okay. Because dentistry is not for everybody.
Yeah.
So that's what I would suggest. If you're like a high school student that you want to explore some options, just flat out ask your dentist, can I come hang out with you for a day or two?
I did that for a few hours, and the first thing they did was pop a bridge off, and then I saw everything under there. I go, I don't think this is for me.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm going to stick with flying airplanes and mowing grass.
That's what I'm talking about, Tommy. You either no, or you're saying no, thank you.
Yeah, and then like Dad was telling me earlier, what was that? The bone under your tongue called?
Tori.
So it's a tori. Mine are like perfectly shaped. I thought they were completely normal. And then today I learned, oh, not everybody has that. Or some are bigger, some are smaller. And Dad was telling me how they take a scalpel, peel the flap over, hold that over, drill it down with a bone, whatever, then suture. I said, well, what's the recovery time? He goes, most of the time they're not in pain too long. And do you see the mouth healing pretty quick though?
No, it is an incredibly quick healing experience in the mouth. And thankfully, it's like a 3 to 5 day turnover in your cells in the mouth. So it is pretty incredible how quickly it heals.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked that he had said that it just didn't take long. And I look back on some of my procedures, I'm like, they don't take that long. So
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be completely honest with you. The first time I saw a tooth being extracted, I ended up in the bathroom. I almost passed out.
Wow.
So the funny thing is then years later, I actually took care of this same lady. And I told her, I said, I almost didn't become a dentist because of you. Because I was just, it was a different experience, to see that.
But that's how important it is for somebody that might want to be a dentist to go shadow and see this stuff.
That's what I'm talking about.
And so great advice. So you go to dental school, and walk me through dental school. What was that like?
Well, I'm going to be honest, it's a little different these days, okay? In the fact that they really work hard to weed out people who don't want to be in dental, who are not qualified or going to do well in dental school before you actually ever get to dental school. It was a little different back in the day. It was more like you got in, and a fair amount of us got in, but then they tried to weed you out at that point.
And how would they do that?
Just make it really, really hard on you, and just make it tests were super hard. There was a lot of work that you had to do, a lot of lab work, a lot of memorization, a lot of just performing at a high level at all times, basically.
Well, they don't hand, you might beg to differ because you've probably met some, but they don't hand idiots DDS in front of their name.
Not so much. It's not all really easy to make it all happen.
And the margins for air down there are in your mouth are very slim. I mean, you might have a blood vessel how many millimeters away from
Yes. But I like a lot to compare dentistry to construction, in like you're building like a little bitty ship, like you do it in a bottle, but it's much more complicated because you have a tongue and you have salivary glands and you have cheeks and you have all these things that, there's a nice little trap that things like to go down right behind that, i.e. your throat. So it's like you're doing very intricate construction or rebuilding, or sometimes, completely making new construction in a teeny tiny space that's dark, wet, moving, and it's got a lot of emotions behind it.
Yeah.
So it's not cut out for everybody, but I tell you what, if you are in love with it, you can't get enough of it, okay?
Yeah, it sounds like a nice construction challenge. And then let's say you leave a piece of a tooth the size of the point of this pin. It feels like an iceberg in your mouth. And then it's bite, grind, drill. So I couldn't imagine
precision oriented for sure.
I couldn't imagine doing, 3, 4, 5 different implants and teeth, and then just getting that right, and the challenge that it takes, and concentration, and it's a lot.
It is a little bit of a challenge, but it's a lot of fun too. Like to master that and to have that creation that somebody's going to use on a daily basis, at least 3 times a day.
Yeah.
So it goes through a lot of stresses, but it sure is nice to be able to chew your food. It sure is nice to be able to smile and have that. That's one of the first things people see.
Let's say somebody can't chew their food and they're having a lot of dental pain. What is a typical average turnaround on getting these people fixed up and out of pain?
Well, there is a vast range on that. And a lot of it depends on the patient. Some patients are like ready to get everything done and they have the money to do it. I mean, to be honest, this costs money and it's not cheap to be able to have complicated dental work done. And that's why it's so important to maintain what you have, keep it healthy, because the longer you wait, the more complicated the procedures become and the more costly they become and the more time it takes for you to correct those problems. So maintenance is huge in the dental world. So I don't think I really answered your question.
I'm just getting that for anybody that's listening. I've seen, because I've seen this happen. They've got dental problem, my tooth hurts, blah, blah, blah. And many times the dentist can prescribe some antibiotics, pain goes away in hours, and then you can work on that tooth later. So kind of what I'm getting at is your suggestion, if they do have some dental pain, it might just be a visit, antibiotics, and then, hey, if it's way back there, we'll pull it,
And it's all about getting an assessment and figure out what's going on. Because, a lot of what happens to people, and this is not just in dentistry, but just fear prevents them from moving forward, okay? And so if they can just get in the door, we'll make them feel comfortable and get them out of pain, and then set up a plan of how to get you healthy again. Because a lot of people, that's exactly what they do. They let things go, It's so much easier. Like, for instance, if you have a problem with your car, okay, that all you need is the oil change. It sure is a lot easier to get your oil changed than it is to wait until you have a major breakdown on the side of the road.
Do you see a lot of people that are willing and able to come to the dentist, but their fear of dentistry has just kept them away for years?
Absolutely. Every day I see that. Okay. I feel mostly sad for them because we can do so much for them. Right now, we can use so many different things of sedation to make them completely anxious free. They don't even have to have anything, any fears. And I have so many people that come in there literally almost shaking in their boots. And some of it's just from hearing from other people. They honestly haven't had a bad experience themselves, but they've just heard that something could. And so they let that fear just paralyze them to the point where they can't have their, don't get dental work done. But now, in my office alone, we offer levels of sedation anywhere from just general local anesthetic, which is just giving you some numbing, and then you don't feel anything when it's done, to nitrous oxide. It makes you feel comfortable, makes you feel like you had a glass of wine or a couple of beers, and you just feel more comfortable and relaxed with it, all the way up from level 1 sedation, where it's a little blue pill that you take and you feel relaxed, all the way up to where we can get a dental general anesthesiologist that can literally put you to sleep and you do not have any recollection of it whatsoever. So that there's really no need for people to fear coming to the dentist anymore. But there's plenty that do, okay? But we have things to help them.
Yeah. Well, that little ultrasonic cleaning thing is enough for me right now. I just do not like it. But that's good to hear that if anybody is, worried or scared, in that little blue pill, you can give it to them like 30 minutes before they get there if somebody drives them there.
Well, they do have to take it at the office, but they do get the little pills, okay? And then we take it there. We're very safety conscious, too, in dentistry. So they take the pill there, and then we can make sure they're getting to the state of relaxation that they like. And if we need to add a little bit more, we can do that, okay? So it's very, very safe.
It's always easy on the lady operating.
We do like our patients calm, okay? Because, people do get a little worked up about coming to the dentist, but there's really honestly no need to.
I want to get into that with you also, too, as being a woman in dentistry. Nowadays, it seems, it's not common. I don't know what percentage of dentists are female, but what do you think it is? Less than 10%?
No, things have changed, Tommy.
It is?
Like more than 50% of the dental students are now women.
Good.
More than 50%.
Good.
Because it's like basically women have figured out this is a great career for them, okay, because they are able to. I love all my male colleagues, don't get me wrong, okay? But women, kind of have that womanly touch that can kind of help sometimes soothe them.
I've said this for years, and I've said this for years. I will choose a woman doctor, lawyer, dentist, because a woman goes, just as you told us from the beginning, the reason you went to dental school and became a dentist is because you're caring and compassionate. So I feel like a female cares first, and then they want to make money second. I feel like a male wants to make money first and cares second. And I'll say that for whoever to see. I don't care because I believe it, and I believe that the woman lawyers are there to help you, number one, and same with the dentists and doctors. So I think it's great to see that. My first choice would be a female because I think they care. And
I truly believe we do too. And I'm not saying that my male colleagues don't care, because they do. And I work with some amazing male colleagues.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very fortunate for that too. And sometimes it does take a team approach to solve some of a person who's, like you said, has put off coming to the dentist for a long time. Sometimes you need a collaboration and multiple. And so I'm very fortunate to have two associates that work with me. So what I don't like to do, they like to do.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So we have a great team.
I think we'll get into that too on, what you like to do and don't like to do, what procedures you like to do. And so we'll work on that. But let's get back to these half women, half men going to dental school and what they're going through. They're getting weeded out now quickly. And are they teaching you anything about business in dental school?
That is not happening so much. I think I had like very, very little. I think I had one class on practice management. It was like for half a year.
And was that hire a good manager? Was the final?
The final is you don't know very much about business. You better start learning as soon as you get out. Okay?
Yeah. And you're going to need a lot of money. And we're going to get to that part of building a practice too, because my daughter wants to be a veterinarian. Yeah. And I think that you came up being a dentist at an interesting time because of the technology shift. And that's one of the things that I'm wondering, because I was at your office, super high tech, and it's like, I guess you're just constantly investing in equipment, and it's not cheap equipment, but we'll get to that. So how long is dental school?
So it's 4 years to get your DDS, and then after that, you are able to take the state board that then allows you to be licensed to actually practice dentistry. So
you walk the stage in your white coat, and where do you go from there? You're like, I'm a dentist. Who needs a toothbrush?
Exactly. They don't give you a whole lot of that out there in the real world. And fortunately for me, I was able to go in and I practiced with my sister, who I was dental assisting for. I was able to, I first of all practiced at a DSO, dental service organization in San Antonio, because I was waiting for her to buy out her partner. But I'm super glad for that, okay, because I got to see what had happened in corporate world. And, how they treated the patients and how they treated the employees and that type of thing. And so I made some quick decisions that is not the way I wanted to practice dentistry. Unfortunately, my sister was a solo practitioner, and she did take me on as associate. So actually as an independent contractor. So I joined her practice, and I had 19 years to really hone my clinical skills. So I got really good at doing the day-to-day dentistry type thing. I spent a lot of time taking continuing education classes, because what you learn in dental school is quickly become obsolete type thing.
That's interesting that you say that, because I've been hearing that about a bunch of professions. How so?
Well, like you said, the technology revolution was really taking off towards particularly about 10 years after I had been in practice. And so I decided, okay, all the time, for instance, when I got out of school, implants were not taught at all, okay? Like, we learned absolutely zero about implants. But I saw it was something that was forthcoming and that I needed to get really good at.
Because you were starting to see the need for implants.
I saw the need.
And it was becoming taught at continuing education.
Right.
People were shifting towards cosmetic interest as opposed to just health.
Just like, that they were just like they were shifting away from when you get a certain age, you're going to be in dentures, to the shift of where the paradigm shift was, no, you keep your teeth all of your life because there's nothing as good as what God gave you, basically. So it was a big shift of like, let's keep what you've got type thing. So I worked on that a lot of where like, okay, what is the best replacement for teeth? Because people were still losing teeth, and people to this day still lose teeth for various reasons.
Were you practicing the implants at your sister's practice?
Yes, yes. But I mean, I would get patients that needed them. Okay. I didn't actually place the implants, but I found specialists that were willing to place them and that would help me to learn how to restore them.
I'd like to hit on that too. Let's say one of my favorite things is, why do they call it a dental practice? What are we practicing?
I'm telling you, you and my mother would get along really great, okay? Because she absolutely hated that. She goes, I am so tired of y'all practicing. When are y'all going to know it all? Okay. So I want you to take care of me when you know it all. I said, Mom, it is not the way it works. Tommy, this is not the way it works. It's like things are constantly changing. So literally, sometimes you're actually, and I'll be honest, I usually ask the patient, is it okay if I try this new procedure out on you? I've gone to these classes, I've learned about it, but I've actually never done it on somebody. And I'm just so happy through the years how people just jump on the excitement of like, yes, I want to be the first one that you do this on. So that's always made my heart warm and happy when somebody's like, yes, I want to be your first one to do this on. So yeah, that's where it comes from, the practicing, that we're literally constantly trying to do things better and improve things so that we can do the best that we can. But we're never going to be God. We're never going to be able to give you your actual natual tooth back. At least we haven't figured out how to turn on some kind of stem cell and recreate a new tooth there. But who knows what the future might have. I never thought I would be making a crown in one day.
I know.
Or being able to, place an implant in my office and restore it the same day, or have all somebody's teeth taken out and put implants in and convert them over to a hybrid denture in one day. Yet these things can happen in a dental office. So
unbelievable, the technology and the forward movement that dentistry has come since you started practicing to now.
Right.
Just crazy.
And I'll be honest, that was one of the driving forces that got me to break away from my sister. And let me tell you, it's never easy to, they told me, don't do business with family or friends. I've broken that rule almost my entire career. And it's been actually a wonderful thing for me to have like my sister as my mentor. Okay. And then eventually, now I'm actually my daughter's mentor because I have my daughter that has recently joined my practice as a dentist.
I learned that this morning. I thought that was great. But walk us through, you're working for your sister for quite some time. And, everybody that has worked with family it's just tough. The lines there, I don't know if you cross them a little bit more or, I'm thinking about my plumber buddy, James, that works with his brother and me working with my brothers. And I don't have it. There's so many things that you could say because the emotions run all over the place.
I was going to say the emotional dynamics are a little bit stronger, I would say.
They run everywhere. But since we're focused on a business thing, run me through what you were thinking, the time that it took while you're down there drilling and working for your sister. How did you start thinking, I'm thinking
I want to make this change.
I'm going to leave the sister and go do this. And I can't imagine the emotions you went through. And how long did that process take?
Much longer than I thought it would. I'll be honest with you. And I'll be very thankful for the one patient who I kind of confided in. I said, I'm really thinking of it. And he's like, you need to do this. You need to do this for yourself and your daughter. And then I had another friend, the same thing. Is like, I knew that I was planning on doing it in Seguin to move to. I was practicing in Gonzales, and I was like, yeah, he and his wife were super supportive of it. They were coming to see me in Gonzales, and they're like, we really need a good dentist in Seguin that's willing to build a nice practice and get things going. So I'm very thankful for those people who encouraged me along the way. But yeah, and I was driving about 100 miles an hour back and forth to Gonzales because I was living in Seguin pretty much the entire time, or a big chunk of it, because Seguin was more my home. I had my friends that were here that were supporting me. I was single parenting my daughter at that point. And so I was like going, okay, I drive back and forth about 100 miles an hour, literally. And there's a little voice, I'm going to say it was God, in my ear saying, you need to make a change. You need to make a change. And so I finally said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I started prepping things, okay? I started working on a business plan on the weekends. I started connecting with people. There's about 3 people that I would call every morning. And they're still very good friends of mine, okay? And still support my business. Actually, one of them was there today getting some dental work done. I would call them literally every day on my way to work, and I'd say, what do I need to do next?
Some of you guys know about my favorite barbecue place, Burn Bean Barbecue, located in Seguin, Texas. There's been arguments for years about who the best barbecue is, and there's a reason they call them the Pope of Barbecue for a reason. Burn Bean sets the bar in barbecue. They're located in Seguin, Texas. Their line takes about 30 minutes to eat, which is not that long. My favorite thing, of course, is the brisket or the turkey. And then for dessert, you've got to have their peach cobbler with ice cream. Burn Bean Barbecue's in Seguin, Texas, and it's worth the drive and it's worth the wait.
What I need to do next? How do I do this? And some barrier would come up. Yeah. I can't get a driveway. TxDOT won't give me a driveway. How do you do this? How do I work this around?
Well, you're referring to, did you buy that property first? Because you're going to TxDOT. So is the current location where you opened?
That is where I opened at.
So you are a full-time dentist with your sister. You made this decision. 0 business experience.
Right.
None.
0.
Don't even know, what a survey is on a piece of real estate.
No.
Don't even know how to get dental products delivered to your office.
No. Yeah. None of that. So, of course, I did have my sister mentoring me I'll be honest, okay, I was watching her the whole time, and I was seeing what worked and what didn't work. It's like, okay, this is something I definitely don't want to do. This is working. I want to do this. So I was watching and taking mental notes throughout the years. But another thing I did, because it was literally about 3 years that it took me from when I made the decision to when I broke ground, okay?
And she supported you in this endeavor, or she didn't want to lose her best dentist?
She didn't know at the beginning for a really long time.
Oh my gosh.
And I basically, it's part of that emotional thing we talked about. So literally, I didn't tell her until I literally broke ground. After I broke ground, to be honest, okay?
I couldn't.
She knew something was stirring, okay? But I couldn't break it to her, okay? I'll be honest, I couldn't break it to her.
I cannot imagine the sleepless nights.
It was a little rough, and I'll be honest, I didn't tell her because I didn't want her to kick me out, okay? Because this is where I was making my money still at that time, okay? And so I kept it undercover for a long time, and I just started working. I listened. Not only did I do all these calls back and forth every morning, okay, as I was going back, heading to work, I would also listen to tapes, because back in the day, there wasn't these wonderful podcasts that you could listen to. But Tommy's been so awesome to get going for all of us. But I would listen to inspirational things every morning.
Yes.
Like pump you up kind of stuff.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I got very fortunately from somebody else. And so I listened to those and it's like, I can do this. It's like literally I can do this kind of stuff.
You were listening to Zig Ziglar.
I was listening to Zig Ziglar.
But how important has that been? Let's touch on that. How important were those tapes to you in motivating you to get these steps done?
It was, I would say it was life-changing because it's really kept me going. It was just like kept pushing me to keep going and make those changes. Yes, Zig Ziglar was a big one.
Yeah.
I ended up taking my team once I got going to one of his seminars that he had in San Antonio in the Alamo Dome. I remember very clearly on that. So anyway, I listened to that, and then I started attending continuing education classes about building and designing a dental office. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
they give you CE for that, so you could do that instead of
well, it doesn't count towards any of your scientific type thing, okay? But like literally you could learn like practice management type thing. But literally I went and I actually got a tape of that class, okay? And I listened and I memorized that tape and I learned, all of the intricacies of a dental office building it, because there's a lot of plumbing and how to design the building from have the building have your operatory windows facing north, have your west side so that you don't have sun coming in it, so it's not hot in the room. It's just crazy stuff like that.
This is extremely impressive to hear, and I think it's just so valuable to get out the point of this self-education, because you are a doctor. And they taught you none of this. And then you had to become a doctor on how to build the dental office, which way to build it. You had to have the motivation. And how difficult was it? Harder to go to medical school, or was it harder to learn how to build this business?
Well, I'm going to be honest. The toughest thing I ever did was single parent a child for 17 years. But other than that, okay, it was tough. I'm not going to lie. And I did all of this, Tommy. I was a little crazy, but God, again, got perfect timing. But I opened my practice on July 1st, 2008. Do you remember what happened in October of 2008?
I do, and it's come up a lot in this podcast, and that was when the economy just crashed.
Yes.
And we've had a lot of people on here, and my story of 08 is I didn't know the difference because I was so busy, and I think I was young. So I wasn't paying attention to the outside stuff. I was just doing everything I could to get another landscape job, get another yard, get this, get that. Tell us?
It was the same thing. I felt none of it. Absolutely none of it. And I'm going to once again give God the glory here, because like God's timing is perfect, because I don't know how many times I asked in those 3 years that I was working on the business plan, that I was getting my SBA loan together, all these type things. Because if I wouldn't have gotten that SBA loan when I did, I wouldn't have got it in October after that. So it was all these, and then there was several dentists that retired at that time, and they did not sell their practice. They sent all of their patients to me.
Wonderful.
I felt absolutely nothing of the October 2008. Okay. In fact, it just basically skyrocketed that my practice went gangbangers after I didn't even know October 2008 was a thing.
That is a wonderful to hear. And so that was one of that's another question that I have is, tell me about, your early days of your practice, and how did you prepare for them? So you got the dentist where you opened this practice, and then the dentists were retiring, and they just came.
So, well, basically I did send out a notification to all of my patients in Gonzales. Okay. My sister was very upset with me, but I did that because I felt like it was important for them to know where I was going, okay, in case they wanted to follow me. So I did have a certain amount of following. Still have patients that have seen me since the beginning of when I started practicing in 1989. So I still have patients that literally have followed me there. But the other thing was, you have to remember, in Seguin at that time, there was not any other dental offices that had the technology that I had at that time, okay? And in fact, I would say that I was helped to inspire several of them to build new offices, okay? Because it was just, the technology was skyrocketing in the dental world. It needed to be making some changes. So I hope that, I was a little bit of a catalyst to help others get their practices up to speed on that type of thing.
Well, Seguin runs about 10 years behind, but
Yeah.
you were thinking about this the whole time and you were ahead.
Well, and I'll say my dental equipment specialist still likes to joke with me to this very day. He says, yeah, all I heard on those calls every morning was, I'm a single parent. I'm not sure I can do this. Da-da-da-da-da. And he says, yes, you can. Seguin needs this, and just, you can do it. And so, I'm thankful for all those people that said, do it, and kept me encouraged through it. So
I think your patients are too.
Well, I certainly appreciate all my patients. I have some incredible patients, and thank you for becoming one today.
Yeah. I'm excited to be over there. I am very faithful to the dentist. My uncle did a lot of dental work on me for a long time, and then my dad. And
they
so
did
I've
beautiful
really
work. I'm going to brag on your uncle and your dad here on air. They did a beautiful job.
Good, thank you. I've only had really 2 dentists, so I've had a couple fill in when they were out of town or something that I had to have something really quick. But it's been. I'll be there. I'll be around, and I'll bring your staff donuts too.
I know you brought us donuts this morning. That was very sweet of you. Thank you.
I have a small habit of taking donuts everywhere. And I don't know. I just got into it years ago, and I do it. And the thing is if I need a dental appointment and I run y'all donuts a few times, the lady's going to slide me right in.
They're going to get you in.
Yeah.
You bet they will.
And I'm not going to say which doctor's office in Lubbock I go to, but I don't even have to set an appointment. I just walk in there and I bring them a couple other things up there from the restaurant, and I'm in. So I enjoy it, but it's just a little thing, and people get excited about it. And it's just a tiny gesture.
Yeah, right. We give a gift to every new patient. Did Heather give you a gift this morning?
I think she asked me if I wanted a Frisbee or a what was the other thing?
An umbrella?
Yes, yeah. But I never take anything because I don't like to carry anything. No.
Okay. Well, they're supposed to be giving gifts. So anyway, good job. At least she asked.
She offered. She did offer. No free root canals, though.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Well, run me through the, again, back to the first year in dentistry and focus on the business stuff. What were some of the challenges your first year? You were a single mom, which is, hard as can be. Dental stuff is expensive as can be. When you open, did you save up? You have payroll? How did you hire? How did this work?
Well, I got an SBA loan, which had an incredible interest rate with it. So I was super thankful for that. And so I had working capital with that to get things going. So that's where I got going. And thankfully, I got the business rocking and rolling early. So the patients were paying. We gave them financial options. We got insurance we accepted. And so we get that turned into the insurance company. So that's how we would get, and I was able to pay off the loan early. So that took that burden off of there. And in fact, I got so busy and big that I needed to add on to the building.
Oh.
So
At how long?
that was in 2015, I believe it was.
So how long after you opened were you already ready to expand?
It was about 7 or 8 years in there. So I started out with just 5 operatories, and then I moved to 8 operatories, and recently I converted some area over for another surgical suite so that I have 9 areas to take care of patients in. So
that is a lot of patients.
and I've been able to add 2 associates, and then like I said, I have 5 hygienists that work for me right now. And so the hygienists basically are the ones that help to that's where you usually typically start your dental career at our office, is with the hygienists, and then they basically get you. We all figured out what's going on in your mouth, if you need anything, and if you're the Tommy Bonner, you don't need anything other than your regular cleaning.
I do a good job, or nobody does as great as they should, but I give it a pretty good whirl because my enamel was really thin growing up, so I have a bunch of crowns, and I do not want to lose my teeth and replace them with implants.
There you go. That's the key. It's just like get educated, and that's the great thing about the hygienist. They're going to educate the patient a lot about what's going on in their mouth and options for them of how to restore it or fix things up for them so that they have a beautiful, healthy smile and they can enjoy for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So, anyway, they're great about that's a big thing with them.
Well, I like to focus on who's running, and how are you deciding to push this business? Because you had to expand within 6 or 7 years. Somebody, is it the motivational tapes? Was it your business sense? Was it your goals? What got you from leaning? I always use the analogy leaning over drilling in people's mouths. But who was pushing you to grow this business and acquire more patients and expand? Where was all that coming from?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm a bit of a workaholic, and I do love staying busy. So a lot of it was just me just wanting to drive the business busier, and I particularly enjoy employing other people and giving them meaning and purpose in life, because most of my hygienist assistants, all of them, they absolutely love what they do. And they love taking care of people too with me. So they have the same dreams and passions that I do. So I like giving more people work to do and giving them more meaning and purpose in life. So, and just taking care of more people type thing. So I'm going to be honest, I was a bit of the driving force, behind it, the push. But I would say it was mainly that every year I have a meeting with my team at the beginning of the year. I call it strategic planning meeting. And we set up our goals for the year. And they all are very goal-oriented, as I am, and let's make these things happen. How can we take care of more people? How can we make more people happy? How can we make them love their smile too?
But you have to put food on all the employees' tables. And, at the end of the day, when you employ somebody, you are putting, fixing people's smiles, but you're also putting food on employees' table, which
Absolutely.
is a great thing for people to do. And people don't think about that. They're like, well, this guy owns this business. Well, we feed families. We pay rent.
We do, yeah.
We pay mortgages. We pay car payments. If you look at your downline of effect that your paychecks go to these people, you're spread far and wide with the amount of employees that you have.
Yeah, I've got 17 right now. It started out with, just me starting out things, whatever. And it's like, and I like to, the analogy I use a lot with my team is that, we're on a journey here. Okay. And And there's going to be times, okay, that I need to stop the bus and let a person off, okay? But then I'm going to find somebody else who wants to journey with me on, okay, and make things bigger and better along the way. But, everybody has different goals, and they may have times that, they don't align with mine. And so it's time for them to exit the bus, okay? And we'll truck down the road a little further, and we'll find somebody who wants to, journey with us and have the same goals that we do. So.
I think that's part of running a business. And the quicker that you realize that, I was listening to some business podcast today, and it was like, if you come up in your parking lot, you park right by them. But if you pull up and there's that car there and it makes you kind of irk and you have to think about it, you already know that it's time to let that person off the bus.
Yeah.
And throughout my career, the sooner that we let that happen, the sooner the bus starts cruising a lot better. And those decisions are hard to make. Sometimes they take weeks or months, but almost immediately after that decision is made, the bus starts running a lot better. And I feel like I should have made that decision even sooner.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and
but that's one of those things. It takes a while to learn.
I know.
Okay. It's like, I wish I could, inject that to a new business owner and just like tell them, okay, look, it's time to adios that person.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's hard for them to do
Very.
that. It's one of those skills that you gotta
learn.
You gotta hone on and learn.
And it is tough.
It's not
tough.
easy to say it's time for us to part ways.
Is it easy now though?
It's easier. I'll say that.
Experience
plays a lot into this for sure. Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's easier now. It's still painful.
Yeah.
I would say it's still painful. I don't want to give anybody the impression that, I'm just ready, easy.
I know.
Okay, I wake up that day and I go, I don't really like that guy or that gal. I'm letting them go. Okay. No, it usually always takes a little bit of.
I hate when it takes that turn and you realize you made a bad hire.
Yeah. It's tough. It is tough.
It is.
But,
And it's
what do they say? Hire slow, fire quick. Yeah.
But typically you need somebody now.
Yes.
Now, because we're missing money out of operating room number 6. So we need revenue, and then we should have done it a little slower. Do you do all the hiring yourself, or?
I do most of it, I would say. I do let my office manager in on helping a lot of it. And now that I'm trying to train up the associates because I'm mentoring them, because at some point I'm going to go ahead and leave it to them. Not anytime soon, but at some point I have gotten to the point in my career where I feel like it's important to teach others, give back to my profession that's given me so much.
Good for you.
Trying to teach others to.
And are you enjoying that aspect of it?
More and more I am. First, with anything new, anything's a little bit awkward, but get out there and keep going at it, and it's going to feel fine. It feels good. And this is like, in fact, I have had one of my associates out on maternity leave for a few months, and I'm so ready for her to be back. My little hands and back are saying, you're working awful hard, okay? Yeah. This is why we brought these other ones on.
I love that you have your other associates there, because one of the things that I don't like when people are in business is when a dentist hands stop moving, they typically stop making money if they don't have associates to help them. So again, another kudos to you for setting that up. And you have 4 or 5 hygienists.
I have 5 right now.
How important are those hygienists to the business?
They're extremely important. Like I said, that's where the business comes in. Okay. Because people are coming to them, and we're basically the hygienist spends a lot of time educating them. They are multitaskers. super duper multitaskers. So they're coming in and helping me to do the exam, get the x-rays, get the medical history, figure out their dental history, figure out anything that they might need to move forward with the treatment. So helping them overcome obstacles and objections, that type thing. So that's what they help us do, is come up with, and just
Treatment plan.
Treatment plan.
I hate to. It's interesting that the terms that you would use in one business you wouldn't use in the dental business, but those are the salespeople. But you don't want to call them that. You want to call them the treatment plan, which it is a treatment plan.
Right.
But they've got to identify, verify, and then get them over to the dental chair.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's an interesting perspective.
Yeah. So the hygienist, helps them figure out what their needs are, because a lot of people don't even know what their needs are. They're coming in like, they've got in pain, but they don't know what they could even do about it. So help them figure out what they can do about it. But then we have the office manager and the treatment coordinators that help them to figure out how they can financially afford dental work. Okay. What their insurance company, what we can expect them to pay, what would have to come out of pocket for them. So there's a lot of different facets to dentistry that a lot of people don't realize, the type thing. And then also just figuring out, because some people's objection is time. It takes time to get dental work done. And, for instance, you're a super busy businessman. You don't have time to go sit in the dental chair for hours on end, type thing. But then somebody else is like, I want to get all this work done in one day, because time is super important for them. So that's when we can, plan for that type thing, schedule things so that we can make everything happen super efficiently for them. So there's different concerns that different people have. And
you've got to meet them.
We've got to meet them, and we've got solutions for them on all that type thing. So,
what are you doing? Do you have a normal day? What's your day-to-day look like?
What's my day-to-day look like? Well, I usually wake up about 5 o'clock, okay, and then I spend time working on my QuickBooks, which is the accounting type of that. So that's something I had to learn during those 3 years. Okay, I started learning that type thing, took a class on it, started getting it all set up, get going. So to this day, I still do a lot of that, just my day-to-day operations, okay? Just making sure the money is there to pay for the employees, pay for products. What do I need? Okay, where does the money need to go?
Every morning.
Pretty much every morning. Yes, I do. And then I'm also extremely OCD. I'm very every good dentist has a little bit of OCD in them. So I have maybe a little bit more than the average one does. But I'm very particular on my notes, okay, my chart notes, okay, and so all of my assistants, anybody basically helps me write those notes up. But that's basically the story of what happened during that dental appointment, so that I can look back on it. So I spend about an hour every day correcting any spelling errors, any graphic. I mean, it's just a lot. Or making sure everything is documented correctly. Okay, because sometimes, like for instance, a dental assistant who hasn't had as much training may call something like, "Okay, I pulled the tooth. We pulled the tooth." We never say that in a dental record. We extract a tooth.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't call a bridge a bridge. We call it a fixed prosthesis. So make sure the terminology is correct, okay, on there, so that it reads easily, correctly, and that type of thing. So I spend an hour of that. And then at 8 o'clock, I show up, or maybe 8:05 or so, because I expect my patients to be seated in the room, because I'm going to be hitting the floor fast. And during the 15 minutes before that, my office manager is having a meeting, it's called a morning huddle, and then basically she preps everybody with, this is what to expect for the day, and this is how we can make this day run as smooth as possible. And then we hit the floor running at 8 o'clock. We perform at 8 o'clock. We're there for our patients. We're ready to make it happen.
So how many are you working 6 hours a day on patients, or are you managing the business during the day also?
So I have to manage during the day. So I have people popping in and asking me questions, and I'm very used to that type of thing. And my patients are used to it. I was like, she's gonna say something about, okay, I feel somebody hovering in the background. Who's there? And then they'll tell me, well, I need to know this, or I need you to sign this check, or I need to do something, whatever, make a decision on this or that. So that's just happening while things are working. Because that is the odd thing about dentistry, okay? Is that basically not only am I the business owner that's making most of the decisions, I'm also the one doing most of the productive work. I'm not saying that everybody else is doing productive work, but I'm actually doing the work that's billed out.
Yeah.
That's the bigger services, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So,
With that said, what procedures and stuff are your favorite to do? What type
do I
of
love
dentistry
to do?
do you like practicing?
Well, and currently I am practicing, all 5 days, but that's only because my associate is out. So typically I do have an administration day, and I have a day that I'm supposed to be off. I typically end up showing up at the office some of that day off time just to make sure things are rocking and rolling to
That
my
might
standards.
be the OCD.
So, yeah.
I'm not a doctor though.
So yeah, or looking at least on the monitors. Are they doing everything I told them to do? Type thing. But anyway, so what are my favorite procedures? Well, in 2012, I started getting this fabulous machine. It's called a CEREC, and it actually mills out crowns in one day. So the patient no longer has to leave my office with the temporary. So that is a super fun thing for me to do, because I can change somebody's smile in a day. I can take a tooth that's completely broken down to make it to, like, you can't even tell that it's a crown on their tooth, or I can do veneers on their front teeth, or all of these things can be done with this little machine.
How much was that machine?
I could have bought a nice house for it. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I had to just buy another oven. It's being delivered on Friday, so that was $13,000. But the machine and the ovens and all that kind of stuff, that was it wasn't a super fancy house. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, but it was it was a good investment. I'll say that.
Good.
So
Are they made out of porcelain, or what are they made out of?
they are made out of porcelain. Yes, they're completely all porcelain. We don't do very few of the metal crowns anymore, but we certainly can do those if that's what the patient wants. But they're made out of porcelain. So one of them is made out of lithium disilicate, okay, and one of them is made out of zirconia.
Are those color matched via the camera that you put in their mouth, or?
We have a shade guide type thing, and then we have different blocks. The different blocks that these crowns are milled out of basically go by that. So, and then we can stain them if we need to make it like custom exactly what the other person's tooth is. So it's basically, we have a complete shade selection that we can go through. So
That is cool. And then has modern dentistry eliminated the need for a dental lab, or you just lean on it less?
Lean on it less. Okay. So they are going to get the much more complicated cases. Like, for instance, if I'm going to do crowns from all of their top teeth at one time, it's just not time effective to do all those in one day. I can do 6. I've done 6 in one day. But if I'm doing the entire arch, I need the lab to help me out with that. Otherwise, the patient will be very, very, they'll be hanging out with me for a couple of days.
Give them one of those blue pills.
And we do. If they want to hang out all day long, typically they want a little blue pill.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Okay.
How long does a porcelain implant or a porcelain crown take to make on that machine?
Well, as far as the actual making of it, it's only like 15 or 20 minutes where it's actually being milled out, okay?
Wow.
But we then have to fire it in an oven, okay? It's just like we have like our own little kiln there that makes it change from this material that can be milled out in 15 to 20 minutes, depending on which tooth it is. But then once you put it in the oven, then that makes it hard, like tooth structure, and the right color as well. Okay. And then we may also send it back through the little oven to get a glaze on it, so it has that nice, pretty shine like your natural teeth do too.
How much of an adjustment are those things taking once you put them on?
It pretty much feels like your own natural tooth right away.
That is miraculous.
I mean, they may have to come back because they're numb during this procedure. They may need to come back to have some minor adjustment on it. But days of those temporaries are not so much anymore. Not that we can't do them, okay? Like I delivered somebody 6 crowns today, so he had some beautiful temporaries that he wore for the 3 weeks that the lab made those. But I was able to put him on, give him a whole new smile. It was fun to have him raise his lip up and go, wow.
I know, I never thought about that, and that's the instant gratification from the patient on a major area of the body that, it takes your emotions, how you feel good about yourself or bad.
Sure. Yeah, and absolutely. It was fun to watch. I asked him if he wanted a preview of it because I can put him on before and show ours. I said, do you want to wait until see the final part? He says, let me wait till the film. And he's like, he pulls that mirror up and it's just that. And this is from a guy, okay? You're going to get a bigger reaction, I'm going to be honest, from a female. And he was like, wow.
Yeah.
This is a cop who's like, they're taught to not show emotion. Yeah. He couldn't hold it back. He was like, so it's a good day.
That's why you love what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's fun. And he's not going to have the pain that, he was having before either because of those broken down teeth that he had.
No fun. So what do your goals look like for the future with your practice? You have your daughter working there now. How long's she been there?
She has only been there since July. Okay.
What are you going to say when she goes, Mom, I'm going to go start my own practice?
If she does that, I may just choke her a little bit.
She's fired. She's fired. So she got there in July, you said?
She got there in July. And I did do some mentoring already through the years, okay? And I told her, all right, you need to get a business degree.
Yeah.
So my daughter has a master in business.
Good.
Okay? So she's a little more primed and ready than I was during this time.
Is she throwing you ideas and you're like, not yet, honey? Or are y'all...
I'm trying to soak them up, okay?
Yeah.
I do remember when I first got out of school and I went to my sister's and I was giving her, and so this is one of these things that I told you I learned what I do and I don't want to do. So I went to my sister's practice and she was very hesitant to accept any of my ideas.
Yeah.
And it's like, and so I was like, so I'm trying my best, okay, to be very open to what, and she's been amazing, and she's got organizational skills that are just superior. So and I have this other associate who's a complete hotshot herself, okay, and she's brought in some new services. We do aligner therapy now. She does a lot of endo that I was sending out because I didn't particularly care. Endo is root canal treatments for anybody who wants to know the real word for those, but the layman's term, I should say. But anyway, so just expanding our services. So, and also I mentored her and told her, I said, you need to do a residency afterwards. So she went to the VA in Temple and did an AEGD, which is Advanced Education in General Dentistry program there. So she learned how to place implants there.
Good.
And do level 3 sedation, which is I do level 2, and then my associate does level 1, and she does up to level 3.
Good.
So we have some new services that she's bringing in on there as well. So she came in with skills.
One of the things that I hate the most is when somebody says, you know what you should do. And as soon as that comes out of their mouth,
Tommy says, nope, not doing it.
My ears shut. I'm barely listening at that point. Because most of the time it's like, but now you've got your daughter going, hey Mom, you know what we should do? Yeah. And I'm not a professional or anything. I'm just a lawn guy. But just from our conversation and from me seeing your practice earlier, I mean, to talk about just an evolving practice with the patient care, but with patient care goes opportunities for new services, the service that you guys offer. Y'all guys have at Seguin Smiles a first-class dental operation. And so if nobody's told you that, you need to pat yourself on the back because Miss Single Mom that started this, if you look back on where you came from, you have done absolutely fabulous.
Well, I've certainly had a huge amount of help by many, many people encouraging me and many, many team members through the years. And some, like I said, have come and gone, but I have some that are with me since almost the beginning of time. Or one of them that's been with me since the beginning of time. So I sincerely appreciate the loyalty, and I'm sure you can appreciate loyalty in a business. And so I do try to treat my employees very well. I try to treat them the way that I would want to be treated. I try to continually give them education as well, give them opportunities to learn more, expand more, continually try to see what they're good at, what they might be interested in learning more about so that they can become cross-trained and become a more valuable asset, not only to me, but if they leave my practice, they will be a more valuable asset to some other employer. So just constantly trying to get back, I guess, to improve people's skills.
Yeah. Well, it's a constantly evolving practice with the people, with the patients, with the business. And it looks like your OCD is working on that. Let's go back to, when you were going to dental school and thinking about being a dentist, what would you tell your 20-year-old self now?
What would I tell my
based on
what I know now? I would say, don't be afraid. That's the one thing that I wish I would have done earlier. Is honestly, I wish I'd have broke away from my sister earlier. But I had a little bit of fear, that I couldn't do it, type thing. And I just think if you set your mind to anything, you can make it happen. Just keep plugging away at it every day, inch by inch. Life's a cinch, yard by yard. It's hard. Okay, that's one thing that's one thing my the loan officer told me, and I still to this day remember that. And so I always go, I'm gonna just keep inching along. I'm gonna keep inching along, and this is gonna happen. Okay, it's maybe not in the time frame that I thought it would, but we're gonna make it happen. So just have faith in yourself and keep plugging away at it.
It is a long road with lots of roadblocks.
There can be roadblocks, but you can get around them. You can either jump them or knock them down or go around them.
Yeah,
do not let it stop you from making your dream come true.
Yeah. So if you could do it, you're obviously extremely intelligent. You could have done and been whatever you wanted.
Well, you may be overestimating me here, Tommy, but thank you.
If you could do it all over again, would you taken the same path?
I would have definitely been a dentist. I'm definitely a dentist at the core of my heart and soul, as you could say.
Good. Well, tell people where they can find you at if they want to find your dental practice.
Well, we're at 1460 Eastwood Drive in Seguin, Texas. Our phone number is 830-372-2949. You can find us on the web at SeguinSmiles.com.
Beautiful. Well, you have anything else you would like to add, young lady?
Well, thank you so much, Tommy, for allowing me to come on today and talk to you. You have an amazing business yourself here, and this is just totally cool that you're doing this and bringing on lots of folks and giving other opportunities to get their business fired up and going and fired up and moving upwards.
It's been my pleasure. It's so fun to meet people like you that have been there, done that, and hear their story as a single mom that now runs a successful dental practice. in Seguin. And I mean,
I'm not single anymore. I'll
I
just
know
say
that.
this, okay?
But you
I've got
were.
a wonderful husband who actually helps me with the business a lot, and he doesn't get paid a single cent. Okay, so be warned, all
That's
you
what
other
they're
folks.
for. Yeah, that's what they're for. But just to hear the stories and see, when I pulled up to your practice today, I knew there was something different. And so,
And I think that may be my husband calling
probably wondering.
right now,
Yeah.
going, "Where are you
Well,
at, my dear?"
let's wrap it up. And I appreciate it, Dr. Weinman. And we will see you at the dental office.
All right. Thanks so much, Tommy. Have
Thank
a great
you.
one.
Bye.
Bye.